You are listening to the Little Psychic podcast with June Mack, which was formerly known as the Fully Woo podcast. I hope you enjoy. Hi there, I'm your host June Mack, and you're listening to the Fully Woo podcast. I'll be talking about all the fun woo-woo things in a down-to-earth, bright, light-hearted and easy to navigate way. Hopefully, I'll be able to help you ignite and light the way on your own spiritual journey and evolution too. Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Fully Woo podcast, Energy Healing with Lyndy Jewell. I'm super honoured to bring to you today my first podcast interview. Lyndy is a psychic, medium, and intuitive energy healer. She's also the creator of the Effing Honest Oracle cards, the Get Effing Motivated Oracle cards, and the Awesome Kids Oracle deck. So she has been nicknamed the Sweary Psychic. So this is your disclaimer. If you have any kids around, please maybe listen to this at a later date, or if you are offended by explicit language, maybe give this episode a little bit of a miss. Lyndy is super straightforward and to the point in regards to her spirituality, which is why I love her. And in this episode, we will be talking about energy healing or clearing and getting down to what it actually is, why it is so beneficial, and what to expect if you've never had a healing done before. Lyndy is always also someone who has been in the spiritual space for over a decade. So she has also got some advice for anyone wanting to possibly start their journey or is intrigued in regards to becoming a healing practitioner themselves. I hope you enjoy this episode and thanks so much for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by the Light Seekers Circle Showcase. The Light Seekers Circle is your spiritual learning library and psychic development space. And for 3 days this month, everything inside the Light Seekers Circle is free for you to access. It's a membership which brings you community, new content, and live readings every single month, plus a woo-woo development archive of spiritual content which is already in there and ready to watch instantly. The 24th, 25th, and 26th of July, all masterclasses, meditations, activations, and programs on intuition, mediumship, card readings, and energy maintenance, plus so much more, is available for you to access free as part of this showcase. No tricks, no lock-ins, just free access for this limited time to experience the psychic community that is the Light Seekers Circle. And all you have to do is inbox me via social media at Ms. June Mack on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll add you to the guest list. Check out more details at junemack.com/programs or inbox me on social media. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Fully Woo podcast. I am your host, June Mack. I am a psychic, intuition mentor, and an energetic healer. Today, I'm super excited because I actually have my first interview, and it's very, very suited that I would have the lovely psychic medium, energy healer, Lyndy Jewell. Welcome, Lyndy.
Hi, June. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited to have you on. For those of you that don't know Lyndy or what it is that she actually does, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, Lyndy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do kind of all things woo-woo, I suppose, but there's such a massive, broad range of things that people do. So I trained in Reiki and stuff, but found that I just run so much better doing my own version. So everyone puts their own spin on what woo-woo is when they're working with clients, but I'm very passionate about everyone doing it their own way. So when I'm mentoring people or encouraging or teaching intuitive development, I'm very, very keen for people to be really tuning in their way. It's a huge passion of mine that we do it our way because I think there's so much value in there. So I'm not much of a rule follower. There's lots of people that, you can't do this and you can't do that. So if you've seen anything on my socials, you'll see that, some people call me the Sweary Psychic because I swear, because I got told once that, you can't swear because it's low vibe. And I realized that angels and guides or whatever it is was coming through to me, and they were giving it in language that my clients would understand, which was, fuck that shit, fuck, stop it. So I was having to pass the messages on the same and went, oh my God, I didn't get struck by lightning. This is okay. I can do it my way. And I've gone, from strength to strength from that point, because I think doing it your own way is the gold standard in energy work. Our perspective as individuals working with others, I think it has to be our own way. Otherwise, it's too tainted and murky, and we're trying to stay within boundaries that aren't ours.
I 100% agree. And this is why I was drawn to you in the first place. Actually, when I go back, you were my very first intuitive workshop that I ever did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a little hour and a half intuition workshop, and it was my very first taste into all of this. So look what you've done, Lyndy.
I love that.
It's amazing. And this is why I was drawn to you in the first place, is because I feel exactly the same way, which is very much there's no really right or wrong. There's only what's right for you and what feels good for you, and don't overcomplicate it. So this is why I love you. So thank you so much for being here. Just quickly, you know what? I've actually never even asked you this question myself, so it's a little bit for me too. How did you actually get started in this work, and how long have you been doing it for?
So I've technically had my business, I think, about 8 or 10 years, so not all that long really, but that's like ABNs and stuff, all the technical things, and doing it full time probably for 5 or 6 of those. And before that, I was doing a lot of, like little weekend things. People would come and just pay me cash, and I had a little room that I had set up and people could come along, or I just loved what I did. So I would do readings and stuff for people. But I guess probably what brought me into this realm, and you've got to remember, I'm quite old. I'm knocking very, very hard on 50. So I became aware of what I was capable of before Google, so before the internet. So it was kind of tricky to grow it when I came from the background of not one person in my family even being remotely connected to any of this stuff. So I had a couple of instances where I realized that I would talk to people, or people would seek me out because I would accidentally say the right thing at the right moment every fucking time. And it was getting to the point I was going, this is ridiculous. Like I used to, and I've got a massively bogan background that I'm very proud of, but I'd be at the footy club and there would almost be a queue of people waiting to talk to me about all these completely random things. And I had no idea genuinely what I was doing, that it was intuitive. I just didn't clock it. But I'd had experiences previously where I'd had, and I'm sure other people have had the same, where they've gone, oh, my God, that's a really big in-your-face kind of moment with intuition. And for me, I had a very, very near-miss car accident on Mountain Highway. I live on the Dandenong Ranges and up the top of the windy bit. And there was not just one but 2 very near misses in a row, like 2 cars were chasing each other down the mountain and nearly hit me on the other side of the road. And I'd listened to it was full on. And I'd listened to the message that said stop. And then I went to take off after the first car went past and went, shit, that was a little bit incredible. And then I got the message again. I went, oh, well, don't be ridiculous. I've missed it. But then the other car came around the corner as well. And, of course, I went and I just got, those full body tingles that you get? They just wouldn't stop. Like I just got the tingles going, holy shit, this means something. I've got to do it. Funny thing is, I now know that I live, because that was when I was probably, I think, 19 or 20, around that age.
Yep.
And I now live at the corner that it was on is a very, very tight corner that used to have a road come out the bottom of it, and that road's been blocked now, and I now live on that road. So,
that's crazy.
I know, the synchronicities were phenomenal. So from that point, from that potential car accident point onwards, I started going, oh, I need to do something with this. This is not, because I felt crazy. I just felt batshit crazy that I had this voice and it made me stop the car, and I did. And I'd had a huge amount of empathy. I was always in tears on behalf of someone else. Crazy connection, deep connection with animals, all of those sort of things, which I'm sure a lot of your listeners have the same thing. But what comes with that is this deep lack of confidence because you're feeling into everybody else's stuff and not knowing where it comes from. So back to your question of how I got into it, it was tricky, which is why, again, I'm so passionate about helping others get into this field, because there's a lot of people out there that have the skills and the abilities and the gorgeous intuition to do it, but they don't have the confidence because they kind of go a little bit hand in hand. I think the people that are super confident and a little bit arrogant about what they can do, I don't find them the kind of people that I resonate with, the ones that think that look, there's not many of them, I've got to say, but the ones that think they know how all this shit works. Like I've been doing this for years and I still have no fucking idea. I'm just very grateful to do it. So I think that willingness to keep learning and keep evolving and not make assumptions, I think, is really important for anyone starting out.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I've never heard that story before about with the car accident and stuff. So that's really cool. I actually find that there seems to be, it's a common denominator with a lot of people where something really, I don't know, like traumatic happens or something crazy happens, and then they're sort of pushed into this field of work. So thanks heaps for sharing that. I actually thought of you because I've had a lot of questions from people who are like, well, what is actually, energy healing or energy work? What's this energy stuff you literally keep going on about? And it's really hard to explain to someone who doesn't come from, the intuitive side of things. And it's a legitimate question. Because,
absolutely. And it is difficult. Yeah.
And it's really hard for me to put into words. I've heard, people explain it and thought, oh, that sounds really amazing, but I kind of don't really get what you said. So I recently just finished the Energy Healing Expansion program with you, which was amazing, by the way. So thank you so much for that. And I also had that Reiki background, and it's quite funny because I've done my Reiki, but then when I would go to explain it to somebody else, I still didn't know how the hell to explain it. And then I did this program with you, and I think it was the first session. I said, what is an easy way to explain it to people who don't know what it is? And I was like, why did I never think of that? That's so easy to understand and to the point. So if you could just repeat
word for word.
yeah, exactly how you said it. No, you probably don't even remember, but how you would explain why it's beneficial. Oh, actually, no, let's go into what it actually is first. Energy healing or energy clearing, I think you said was a good way of putting it, is energy clearing. To someone who's never had it done before or really doesn't even understand what it is, what's an easy way to explain it to the newbies?
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about it, because even the word energy is confusing because it's used in a lot of different contexts. So energy is like to me, it's, how you feel, who you are, but it's also the energy, the vibe in the room. So, it can energy and, the energy coming from the universe and all that sort of shit. So we've got to kind of get a little bit of an understanding of what energy is. So remembering that we are all made of little teeny-weeny tiny atoms. Everything is made of teeny-weeny tiny atoms that all vibrate at a different frequency or vibration or whatever, and make them into what we are, what the rock is, what the car is, what the dog is, all of those things. So when we're talking about energy, we're kind of talking about that as well. So we can go right down to that minute stuff, or we can talk about it generally, which is what I'm going to do right now. So for me, energy clearing, it was absolutely mind-blowing when I had my first energy clearing. And I've got to say, energy clearings are brilliant, but they're not, or you don't always come out of them feeling lit up and awesome. Sometimes you come out feeling like you've been hit by a truck. It's a couple of days after that you notice the brilliance of what's occurred for you. So hang in there. If you haven't had a healing and you're thinking of doing it, like, don't go in preparing to come out feeling like Tinkerbell. You might come out feeling like a sloth just for a couple of days, but that's okay. So for me, energy clearing is that the energy of all the things that we've been through and experienced matter. So they're our memories, they're our experiences, they're our understandings of how things work. And it's almost like all that stuff kind of sticks to you a little bit. And this is, again, my completely dumbed down version of what energy is. And this is how it works in my head.
I like it dumbed down. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I need it this way. Yeah.
So if you think about that, if you think about all the experiences you've had from tiny baby up until whatever age human you are now, and all the memories you've had and your perception of things, which may be very different from what the reality was, it's like all that stuff kind of sticks to you for a little bit. So you can't kind of just let that shit go on your own. Sometimes you need someone else to come in with a different perspective to help you clear it off. So I often use the analogy, it's like I call it a bit of an energetic hangover, or, when you're standing next to a fire, an outdoor fire pit or whatever, and you get all warm and you feel the heat and you feel the intensity of, whatever experience it is, or the fire or whatever we're talking about, and you go away and you go, oh shit, I still smell like it. It's still there. And it's almost, you can almost make it as simple as that in your head, so that you can go, oh shit. And then sometimes you can't wash that off by yourself. Sometimes you need someone else's perspective to come in and just clear that out for you. And how different people do it is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I've got so many different people that I use as healers and look, the word healing for me, I prefer the word clearing, to be honest. I don't love the word healing because it sounds like we're curing something or, praise the Lord, you're fine. It's not that. We're just kind of clearing some of the bullshit from our past to open things up to give us the clearest way forward to our brightest possible future. It doesn't mean it paves the way for everything to be fucking, rainbows and lollipops, but absolutely it gives you a much better chance to do things your way without the, that voice in your head being louder than usual. So if we can dull that down a bit so that you can have the confidence to move forward, I think that, energy clearing is a beautiful, beautiful way to do that.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. And actually, I was going to bring that up too. A lot of people, when you say like energy healing or what have you, they have an idea in their head that, you go in like with a broken bone or something and then we go, amen, and then like shock them and it's healed all of a sudden and, they can like walk on their broken leg, but it's definitely, it's definitely not like that. For me, the reason that I was drawn to it was, I started doing readings first, and I started to, when, you start unraveling what it is that they're having issues with, I started to see which chakras or where the energy was blocked and what was out of line during the reading. And then I didn't know how to clear that. And then I was sending them off. Oh, I know someone else who does, energy clearing. Go to this person and they can get rid of that for you, not realizing actually how easy it is to, it's just the intention really of, clearing that energy out, and that could have helped them. But that's why I was drawn to it in the first place. Was there something in particular that drew you to, did you have a session first and that's when you were like, oh, this is amazing, or were you just drawn to it in a different way?
I was probably drawn to it similarly. I loved aromatherapy was my first foray into this stuff, and I was selling it and I initially, and again, way back in the day, just earn a little bit of income on the side. It was like a party plan thing where they sold perfume, and the perfumes I didn't really like, but they also sold aromatherapy. And I went, oh, actually, I really like this. And I got into that, and it was beautiful. And I ended up working with another company working with it and using it really well and being quite successful with it, but completely unknowing that I was using it intuitively. I would mix up the right blend for people, so the energy of the oils, because, again, that word energy, like everything has energy, oils and flowers and crystals and all the things. So, tuning into all of that sort of stuff. Yep. And that was what kind of my first step when I kind of twigged that I feel better when I use aromatherapy. And I got to the point where my kids were really little then in kinder and primary school, and I was I would go to school and my friends would come and they'd sniff my hair and go, "What are you wearing today?" Because I would always have it in my hair because it would wash around me. And they would always say, "Oh, I feel so much better after I've sniffed you. I always have a good day if I've got to the car park when you did and got to sniff Lyndy." And I went, "Well, that's weird, but nice, thanks." And then I started using. I was selling little like the blends of oils that people loved, and again, just intuitively making them. And I started getting drawn to oracle cards, which I balked at for years, and then started using oracle cards, and I was doing oracle card readings. Which drew me to a deck that was by, what's her name, Rochelle Charman. And she works with crystals a lot. So then I went and did one of her crystal card courses and started working with crystals. And that really put my foot in the water for healing. And I'd been told by a lot of different psychics I'd seen over the years going, "You're going to work in this field, you're going to be a healer." And I was like, "What? No, don't be ridiculous." As if. Turns out they were right. So, it was probably the same, like doing the aromatherapy and then readings and then the crystals and into healing that way. And that and that thing too, like, and then I did a mediumship course probably after I'd started doing the healing, because I'd the difference, you've probably talked about the difference between psychic being seeing the person and into their future, mediumship being talking to dead people, and healing being, shifting energy. And I had kind of not clocked that those things were all different. And then I realised the more I worked, and then I compartmentalised them for myself, and then realised later on that I went, actually, I do the whole lot together. I don't. So now if you book something with me, it's just a session. It's all of it in one. It's whatever you need in that moment. And I think that it just feels so fulfilling for me, and I just feel joy when I send someone out the door or click off the screen when we've finished a session, and it just feels right for me.
Yeah, and that's such a good way to put it, because I agree. Like, I didn't realize that actually when someone was coming for a reading, that is actually very healing for them. And like you said, mediumship as well, like that is healing on like a whole nother level too. Like that is already a modality of healing, is, psychic reading or mediumship reading. And energy clearing, I exactly the same thing. I thought it was a completely separate thing, and not realizing that to help somebody to clear that, that energy out, sometimes all they need to do is talk about it to actually realize that it's there or why something is blocking them. But then there's other times when they need like your assistance to kind of help push that energy through. So are there any, I mean, like for some people that are still, that might be having trouble wrapping their heads around the situation, which I totally get it. It took me a while to cotton on as well. But are there any, say, standout clients that you've done healings on which have profoundly like helped them in certain ways that stand out? Like, can you think of any stories that?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a beautiful. This is what often happens with me, is that the wife or the partner will come. And then she sends the kids along, and then the husband either gets intrigued and goes, well, I want to turn. They don't want to miss out. Or the wife and the kids go, you need to go, Dad. So you need to be there. So I did have a gorgeous guy come. I've had a few actually. And, of course, speaking generally, guys tend to be a little bit more skeptical, and I fucking love a skeptic. I think it's really, really valuable to hold on just a little bit of skepticism so you're not being sucked into everything that wanders past. Yeah. And I'd had this guy that he'd, again, kind of been forced to come. So he was sitting there. He was in my healing room with his arms crossed and his legs crossed going, right, I do what you got to do. And he'd had a heap of built up tension around, his childhood and around his current work situation that he couldn't. And he'd been seeing counsellors and stuff for it, but he just he would go to 2 or 3 sessions and then just, can't do it. No, won't do it. Wouldn't open up, whatever. But I think in those situations, having someone like you or me, June, pop in or be there and be able to go, you know what, I'm feeling this, and have them go, oh, my God, yeah, I feel that. That tuning in, that level of empathy that we have, that a lot of people have and don't know how fucking valuable it is, being able to tune in and help him understand what he felt was like just a bursting through the clouds that were around him. So, and gave him so much clarity. And then from that point on, and he was this gorgeous big tradie bloke, from that point on, like he would ring me every couple of months and go, oh, no, I'm going down the hole again, or I've been impacted by this, or I've got this question around my business. And he would come along and, we'd sort it out and all of these sort of things. But it's just that I think it's the value in intuitive work is that people don't necessarily need to say a lot. You may notice that I love to talk. So for me, like some psychics you see, they say, don't tell me anything. Whereas when I get someone, I always say to them, look, I love a conversation. Let's have a chat. Let's see where you're at. And then the information just starts flowing for me and we're able to discuss it and get the feedback. And I think the feedback is a really important part of it so that the person can hear themselves kind of going, oh, my God, yes, that's a thing and that's where I'm stuck and this is what I can do. And, their contribution, not just someone barking orders at them energetically, I think is really important.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way, and I'm the same. I'm a bit of a chatter. I can't help myself. Even if I would try not to, I literally can't help it. I think because I come from a retail background too, just that bubbliness, it just automatically comes out. I can't help it either way. So I'm exactly the same. I like to have it like a conversation. I also feel like I find that it relaxes, them and makes them feel more comfortable too if they are nervous.
Absolutely. Because I've had healings in the past where I've been laying on the bed and they've covered my eyes and they've been standing over me not saying anything. I'm like, have they left the room? Am I doing it right? Am I supposed to be here?
Just deep breathing.
So I personally don't like the silence. Yeah, exactly. So other people probably love it, but there are people that need both. So, however you choose to run it is perfect because there will be your people out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that a lot of people don't realise is because it is intuitive work, everybody works differently, and any energetic healing that you go to, it should be different depending on who it is that you go to. Do you find that there's a common denominator with your clients as to when people do just like say, I want an energy healing or a clearing or whatever, do you find that you attract a certain type of customer in particular that you can help, or is it just all over the place?
Yeah, usually the ones that want to cut the crap because that's how I roll. I don't tend to, because I don't work in that space, I don't get the people that want to talk to the realms or shift their alternative alter ego or whatever the fuck all those words are. Like, I don't get that shit, so that's not how I roll. So they're not the kind of people I attract. I do tend to get a lot of people that have been interested in this stuff for a while but not done it because they don't feel like they belonged in this space because they didn't wear organic hemp clothing and eat vegan and, like I'm all about the cheesels and the bourbon and all the things. So so I do tend to attract a clientele that I guess is probably a bit more that need that kind of down-to-earth connection. Obviously in this space too, like I've worked with a couple of people or quite a few people over the years that have been that have had a level of trauma that, again, like and look, I don't have a lot of experience with psychologists and psychiatrists and counsellors and stuff myself, but I always, push people towards them if that's the right place to be. But I've had a lot of people over the years say, look, I've done all that stuff and it just hasn't got to the core of my problem. And so it's just, and it's not that stuff doesn't work. It absolutely does. But sometimes you just need to come from a different angle and shift things a little differently so that the other stuff can work properly. So it's never a case of going, oh, you've got me now, you don't need anything else. That's never the situation. But sometimes you've just got to go deeper, kind of into the energy of the problem rather than the logical practicalities of the problem or the results of whatever they've been through. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And also there's a level of responsibility that gets put onto the person too, because like that's not the be all and end all. Usually they need to take some action or do some work to help themselves too. There's usually like things they've got to do on their own. I actually wanted to ask you as well. So for those people that literally, so I think that I've done mentoring under you, so I know that we probably work similarly in terms of a session. And for those who don't know what to expect or a first timer who maybe is feeling a little bit nervous, do you have any advice for them as to what is going to happen? Because there are some people that literally have, like, they have no idea what goes on. Like, what happens? Do you just lie there or like, okay, give me your best interpretation?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, sometimes, I often have sessions where people don't even end up on the bed. We end up chatting and that's enough, and the energy shifting as we chat. So it doesn't mean that, just because a room is set up a particular way or this or that or the other, don't ever worry about what the visuals of it are or whatever. Do make sure that you resonate with the person. If you get someone recommended, go for it. Stalk them a little bit on the socials. Everyone's on the socials now. So you can decide, that person resonates with me, or no, they don't. If you get recommended by 3 or 4 people to someone and it doesn't resonate, then it doesn't fucking resonate. Don't go to that person. They're just not for you. It's not that they're bad or the other people were wrong. It's just that they are not your person. Yeah. So when you come in, I think it's really important to be well hydrated. I have this thing about, I always tell people to drink lots of water before they come, because there is a need to be I don't know, I just feel like it helps energy shift around more if we're well hydrated. So I do kind of encourage that. It doesn't matter if they haven't. It just usually means that I need to then drink a lot of water during the session, which I find wastes time because I don't like to stop talking. But then I personally allow people to record the session, because I know, having done a lot of sessions myself, your brain will get stuck on one point, and then the person giving you the information keeps going on to different topics, and your brain's still going, what did she say about that? What? Oh, yeah, I can agree with that, blah, blah, blah. And you miss bits. So it's nice to be able to listen back to them if the person lets you. But I think just going in open-minded and going, I don't know what's going to come up. Have some questions, absolutely, if you want to, but you don't have to have questions either. You can go in saying, I just feel shit and I don't know why. You could go in going, I've got childhood issues, or I've got relationship issues, or I've got financial issues. All of that. Let's look at all of it. Like, I don't think there's any, there's no wrong way to be a client. You cannot fuck that up. We are here for you. So if you're coming in to book a session, you just have to be you. And look, there's not a need for an enormous amount of vulnerability, but it will be there because we are able to kind of get into the stuff that, and it's not necessarily, I say this to my clients all the time, it's not like I'm told, in 2015 at 3:00 on a Tuesday, this happened, but I will be able to tune into, roughly 10 years ago, something happened that affected your energy this way. You will know what it is. As the client, you will know exactly what that thing is. I don't need to know, to be honest. I probably could drill down and get it. I've done it before, but I don't need to know. And I'm not going to embarrass you by picking apart the details of what Betty said to Kathy that upset you or whatever. So but being able to have someone kind of tune into that, understand it, and help you let it go. My God, I've never like people walk out of my room going or finish a session going, oh my God, I feel lighter. Like whether it's in person or on the screen, it doesn't matter. They just feel lighter. And it's an odd thing to kind of say about yourself as a human, is that you feel lighter, because some people literally feel like a weight off their shoulders. Other people feel brighter, like their light is shining a bit better or whatever. So it's a hugely independent individual outcome for people, which makes marketing very difficult, but I highly recommend it.
Amazing. That's so good. So sometimes I guess they're in the chair, sometimes they're on the bed, depending on who the actual
sometimes
client
they're on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's online, and sometimes this is what I love about you too. You get out, I've been in your healing room. There's drums, there's bowls, there's crystals, there's feathers, sage, and it just depends on the client, I guess, what they're going to receive, which is amazing because it's different every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And it's different for each client every time. I have a lot of clients that come to me. They call it the energetic top up. So they will buy a bundle of sessions and come to me. You know, some people will come weekly for a little while, some will come monthly, some will come, every couple of months or whatever. And even every one of their sessions, even though they see me consistently, will be completely different each time. And I love it. Like, it gives me this opportunity to do something different. Even though I'm doing the same thing every day, it's always different, and it just lights me up. I love it.
That's so good. This is why I like to have you here. You make me excited. And so last question before you tell everybody where to find you. For someone who is starting out, maybe on their own, like spiritual journey, and they are interested in maybe doing some type of energetic healing themselves, as in like being a healing practitioner or whatever you want to call it, do you have any advice for them if they're just embarking on their journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Have some confidence in yourself, which is an easy thing to say and a very hard thing to do. Which I get. I offer intuitive mentoring, which I've got coming up, and I will have coming up, kind of periodically, because I love it, because it's so nice to see other people flourish. And I think it's really important that that we remember that wherever you are starting out in this, stepping into this, in whatever space you want to, there are other people that are getting better and better and moving on from the space that you want to step into. So we need you. Like, there's so many more people becoming open to this work. There's so many people that need you. It's not like June has 10 clients and they're her 10 clients. June has probably 50 clients, and 25 of them might come to me as well, or go to this person as well. So there needs to be a really good opportunity for people to select who they want to go to and mix it up, because the combination of healing modalities from different healers is really important. So don't go into this thinking, oh, no one will want to see me. Call bullshit on that. Be careful of that voice in your head telling you what you can't do before you learn what you can do, because I swear to you, you are capable of more than you think. Your brain will hold you back every time, and you've got to push past that. But there's beautiful mentors around, like June and myself and other people that are so many steps ahead of you that can absolutely help you forward. But again, choose someone that resonates. If you want to do all the realm thing and the, or the astrology. So I love astrology. Cannot remember the fucking rules. Have no idea what planets do. So if you want to learn that, then you'll go and find someone that does all that. It's not a big deal. And I did a thing too. I'll give you this little cheat that I did when I first started out. When I first started seeing people in person, obviously I know now I didn't need it. I was using cards, but I found the cards were getting annoying because they were distracting me. The messages were coming through, but if the messages came through and didn't match the card, I felt like I'd fucked up one way or the other. So I, in the end, stopped using the cards and put crystals on a table in front of me. Now, if you have a session in person, there's no table. There's the healing table, but we just sit on chairs. If it's just a reading, we'll sit sort of near each other and just chat. There's nothing in the middle. But I needed that thing in the middle to be a distraction for the client and for myself. So you can start. Don't think that you're going to start out one way and that's it. That's what I'm going to be. It is going to change and evolve. So allow it to do that, and be aware that that's going to happen. And it gives you this sort of sense of security that go, oh, well, if it doesn't work that way, I'll try it this way. And it just gives you that flexibility in the way that you work.
I absolutely love that advice. And I definitely agree with you, is that there is someone for everybody. So it's like someone who might not resonate with me might resonate with someone else who's just started out. And just because, like, you know, I really like the whole community over competition thing in, you know, this space, because like you said, there's more than enough room for everybody. There's more than enough clients for everybody. And I'm constantly saying, you know, try this person or go to Lyndy or whatever. So I absolutely love that advice. So for people who want to find you, which are the best places online to head to find Lyndy Jewell?
Yeah, absolutely. So bookings, go to my website, which is lindijewell.com.au. I'm spelled a bit funny, so you might want to have a look at how June spelt it to get it right. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I think they're both Lyndy Jewell Healing, but if you put Lyndy Jewell, I'm on there somewhere. I do have people that bloody duplicate my account, so do make sure it's me. And I've also got a TikTok, which is very exciting.
Well,
so I've got some TikTok. Yeah, I know, right? Look at me go. So I've got TikTok, and that's Lyndy Jewell Psychic Medium as well.
I don't even have a TikTok yet. I have FOMO.
Yeah. It's good fun.
I will definitely put all your details in the show notes as well anyway, just to make it easier for people if they want to just click on that. I'll put all the right links in there so they don't get the fake Lyndy Jewell Psychic Medium. But, you know, you've made it when you get the fake accounts. I'm waiting for mine. Like, no one's tried to duplicate me yet, so I don't think I quite made it. I'm waiting for that time. I'm going to go, yes. This means like maybe this means I've made it because someone's trying to duplicate my account.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, possibly.
Possibly. You're like, yeah, whatever, keep doing. But I wanted to say thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate your perspective on things. I've always loved how, you know, down to earth and just straight to the point you are. It just makes things so much easier to understand, you know, for us simpletons. So thank you.
Oh, you're not simpletons. You're just beginners, and everyone's a beginner at some point. I think that's another really important point, just dropping into. Be prepared to fuck up. I made so many mistakes on my way to being here.
Oh, yeah.
So but if you're not willing to make errors, then you're not going to try. So that's a big one. But thank you so much for having me, June. I really appreciate it. I've loved being here, and thank you to everyone listening.
Thank you. See you guys.
Goodbye.
I'm June Mack, and I wanted to thank you for tuning in to the Fully Woo podcast. I can't tell you how grateful I am to have had you here. You can find me over at junemack.com or on all social media as Ms. June Mack. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much if you could please subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a privilege to be in your ears.